Howdy, this is Mackenzie Franklin from SideGame LLC here in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and today we're doing our library update for March 1st, 2022. These are all the games that came into the library during February, and all the things that we pre-ordered during that month, and all the upgrades for the games. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please make sure that you do. It is the best way to help us grow, and for those of you already subscribed, thank you so much for your support. We couldn't be here without you. With all that being said, let's get started with our library update. The first thing that we got were the new dice for the Tapestry Arts and Architecture expansion, so that we have one for each player. We did this with the other dice because it's nice to have your own personal set, so when you're resolving actions, you roll them and you don't need to pass them around the table. Super nice, super straightforward, super simple. The next thing we got were the upgraded burger tokens for the Edge of the Earth expansion for Arkham Horror the card game. This is so that everything matches now, and when you're doing the Chaos Bag, you don't have to replace tokens with anything. I really like burger tokens, and I think their tokens are extremely quality. Love this brand. Up next, we have an Architect tube. These are for playmats. This one in particular was for the Nemesis lockdown playmat, so I really like how this works, and I like how these tubes are extendable and you can put the artwork in them. And then on top of that, we also got some coin capsules for a variety of games. Nemesis Lockdown, we also got some for Vagrant Song, because there's a lot of tokens that you'll be pulling, and we'll talk about those later. But I really enjoy coin capsules, particularly when bag building or bag drawing is going to be one of the main mechanisms in the game, because you want to make sure that the secrecy of the tokens remains intact. The next upgrades were all from the BGG store, and these are going to be the circular draw bags, and this is to accommodate those tokens, particularly in Vagrant Song. The bindle was pretty small in the base game, so this is a replacement for that. We also got a couple of extras just in case new games come in that require bigger bags to accommodate large hands. On top of that, we also got some of the just smaller microfiber bags. These are for various tiles and tokens. We got one in particular for the Blood Bowl, the card game. There's some tokens that you pull out randomly there with the new balls from the expansion. And then we have some new promo mages for Res Arcana. I just really like the new artwork here. Just have some alternative mages. Very, very neat. Next, we have the GeekUp Bit set for Targi. This is one of the best GeekUp Bit sets that I've seen. The tokens are metallic and very, very cool. And you've got a great mix of 3D replicas of the original art with these screen printed tiles, and I really love this. This is one of the best sets that I've seen. If you like Targi, please grab this one. I think it's incredible, and the expansion bits are on their way. And the last promo that we picked up from the BGG store is the Mysterium Park promo cards for the Halloween show. Now, I really like this expansion because it adds new characters and locations to the game, and that's something that I think Mysterium Park desperately needs. I think it needs more content because honestly, the package is so small that we end up seeing everything a lot. We see a lot of the same cards, etc. So we've been mixing and matching some of those Dixit-style cards for this game, but I'm glad that there are now some more characters for this theming as well. And I really like this Halloween twist on them. So those are all of the upgrades that came into the library, upgrades, promos, etc. And now we move on to the new arrivals, starting off with Vagrant Song. Now, this is a boss battling game where you play on a train as vagrants, and you're trying to work your way through purgatory, it seems, resting the souls of all of these terrible Hanes, these spirits. And I think this game is amazing. It's so approachable and it's so well done. And my favorite part about it is the event system in the bindle. You're going to be doing this bag building system where you're taking out all of these tokens to do different actions or use them as items, or the enemies are going to be using them to take the actions on your turn. So you can kind of manipulate the bag and anticipate what the enemies are going to be doing. Really like this one. Next game we have here is Clank in Space Adventures Pulsarcade. This is a new mini modular expansion that you can play with the base game, and this one in particular offers a new coin mechanism along with some other things, but they're going to be giving you tiny little objectives that you can go for during the game, and you gain these tokens for doing those things. You trade in those tokens, and based on what you trade in, that determines the artifact that you actually get and the point value that you'll get from taking the artifact. So a new little objectives you can go for, as well as some other things in this expansion. Up next, we have Arkham Noir Case 1, The Witch Cult Murders. This is a very short, simple card game, solo only, where you're playing cards and trying to match symbols. And when you do, you're going to clear off these rows and give yourself some time. You're trying to find all these puzzle piece symbols in particular, and once you do get enough, you win the game. Interesting theme, interesting gameplay, but I don't know if it's one that I'm going to return to or will stick around very long. Next game here is going to be Legendary Messiah Complex Expansion. This is actually pretty great. I really like the new mechanisms here in this deck building game, and you have this really cool mechanism in the form of cloning, where when you play a card that has clone that triggers that, it'll summon another copy of that card, whether it adds it to your discard pile if it's your cards, or if it's an enemy, it'll bring it into the main board. You have some really cool characters with really cheap ultimate cards that have clone attached to them, which makes for some crazy combos pretty early in the gameplay. So that is the legendary Messiah Complex expansion. Next we have Kingdomino Origins, a great take on the Kingdomino system. I definitely prefer this over the original because it has a lot of little interesting things that you can add or take away at your leisure. And one of the cool things, my favorite part, is actually the volcanoes. This is straight from the get-go included, and the volcanoes allow you to shoot scoring tokens. So these flames represent the crowns, where it's a score multiplier, but the cool thing about it is you shoot out these flames onto your other empty tiles, so you can choose where your scoring is going, which gives you a lot of flexibility. It gives you tiles that you're going to be chasing for, and just stresses that turn order even more. I really like this expansion. Up next we have Targi. This is a 2-player only game where you are doing some worker placement where you're actually drawing a connection between your different workers on the outside of a grid. You'll match up things in the middle and take those actions, so you're getting a lot of stuff on every single turn. I really like that you start the game with a bunch of resources, and then you're able to take those and immediately start fulfilling contracts and pursuing a strategy. I really like this one, and I'm really happy that we got the GeekUp bits for it as well. Up next we have Now or Never, a sequel to Near and Far, but I think does it in a much more compelling way. You get to explore right from the get-go in this game. You take your character and you're interacting with the map, taking on monsters, increasing your abilities, and completing quests, and I love that about this system. I love that you can choose your quests right from the get-go and make a path and make some decisions that will lead to some satisfying engine building as you try to rebuild your hometown. I really like the core system of this. I'm not sure if I really enjoy the campaign that much, as it does increase the game length, but I do enjoy questing around and interacting with the world of Arzium. Up next we have the game Nemesis Lockdown. This is more of an expansion. It's a standalone expansion for the Nemesis system. I think Nemesis is a 10 out of 10 game, and if you like Nemesis, this is a no-brainer expansion. My favorite thing in this new location is the map itself. I love the new base and the different levels, and I love the energy system, but I really love the characters. Those are the standout for me. Each character is very strong in order to combat the difficulties that exist in Nemesis Lockdown. There's a lot of things that can kill you in this game, so each character is extremely powerful, and I think that is amazing. It feels great to be a character here, and I feel like I have a lot more control-ish, but there's a lot more chaos as well that's happening. So if you like Nemesis, this is a great expansion for it, but if you haven't tried Nemesis, I do recommend that you start with the base game first. Up next, we have Dune Imperium Rise of X expansion. This is incredible. I think this might push this game from a 9 to a 10 to me, because I think that this expansion is just incredible in the way it does. It makes every single space on the board good, which is incredible when every decision is awesome, and it also introduces a lot of new cards that are extremely interesting and fascinating and work extremely well with all the other existing content, and the new technologies, lots of different strategies and paths, and just an overall incredible experience. And the epic game mode, don't even get me started. There's so much to love about the Rise of X expansion. What an incredible product. If you like Dune Imperium, get this expansion. Absolutely amazing. And then next we have For Science, a dexterity cooperative game by the same designer of Spirit Island, which is pretty incredible. You'll be building blocks, and then based on what you build, you get these little Carcassonne-like tiles, and you're matching them to get symbols in a race to get as many symbols as possible. Now, I really like the systems here, and my favorite part has to be the actual completing of the different plans. You're going to be building them in your personal lab or in this main area, and once you complete something, you actually have a lot of freedom with building the blocks. These little lines that you see here say that this block needs to be touching that block, but it can't touch any of the others. So you have some really cool choices with actually building your own designs and thinking about it beforehand, and then when you're actually building stuff, you can move it, slide it, and as long as you're obeying those rules, it works. And so you have a lot of cool creative thinking when it comes to it. So I really like this one, and I also really like how you're able to customize it the way you see fit, by increasing, decreasing the difficulty, and decreasing the amount of dexterity in real time that's involved. Very, very cool system. Up next, we have Ark Nova, and it is getting critical acclaim for a reason. This game is quite good. It takes a lot of things from games that I already love, things like underwater cities with tile placement and creating this area in front of you, the iconography and cool powers and abilities from things like Terraforming Mars, but I think the action selection system in this game really stands out. It makes this game very easy to get into as you're sliding these cards in front of you, moving them down, and triggering them at different power levels, and I really enjoy how the complexity is coming from the interaction of these actions to the cards, and the cards give you a lot of great choices in this system. There's a lot to love here. The animals are wonderful, and I just think that Ark Nova is going to be something that stays around in the zeitgeist for a long time and is going to inevitably get expanded forever. I think this game is pretty dang incredible. It's a lot of fun, and the solo mode is also quite good. This is a solo game that you can get started and get finished in about 45 minutes, which is crazy because of how big and sprawling the game is, and I think the multiplayer also does a great job at making sure that you're consistently engaged because those actions are so fast on your turns. You do have some longer turns when it comes to cards that might give you an ability to take an extra turn, but generally you play a card, do the thing, move it around. It is so clean. I love this system. Very smooth gameplay. Excellent game, Ark Nova. Up next we have Familiar Tales, which is a story game that features some incredible voice acting, very similar to something like Forgotten Waters, and this is from that same studio, Plaid Hat Games. Familiar Tales has you controlling these little familiars, moving around these maps and protecting a child. You'll see that child develop and grow throughout your experience. I really like that the map book is a map book. You open it up, it's ready to go. It really cuts down on that setup time, and I do love the characters and the world that this is populating. This is such a great cast of characters here with your little frog boy. You've got the fox here. You've got this great ogre who has this, not an ogre, he's more of a golem, but he's got this little bird that rests on his shoulder and cheeps around, and then you have this flame sprite who can set things on fire. Hilarious. I love this. I love the voice acting, and it's a world that feels lived in. Excellent Familiar Tales. Up next, we have Blood Bowl Team Manager, the card game. This is fantasy football. You are taking your team of characters from the Warhammer 40k universe, and you're putting them against others in these matches. And based on how you do in these matches, you will gain additional rewards and bonuses, which push you further, and you're also able to compete in these big tournaments. And I just love the way that this game is so chaotic but fun. And my favorite part is actually the impact icons on the game. When you play a card, you resolve all the icons here from left to right, and it's just so well done in the way it's played. You play the card, do the thing, and it passes to the next player. You have your 6 cards, that is what you're thinking about and how you're going to play them, and the order is so important. It is just such a satisfying game that is thematic and fun, exciting, and tense. I love Blood Bowl Team Manager. And we found a copy. A friend of mine, Jenna and Jeff, they were at a garage sale, and they found some awesome deals, and one was a copy of Blood Bowl Team Manager. That's amazing. So we were able to get a copy for our library. Thank you so much, Jeff and Jenna, for this incredible find and for letting me know, and now it's part of our library. Amazing. Thank you so much. Now, on top of this, we were able to, since we saved a bunch of money, we went down and hunted on the expansions. We found both of them, but for right now, Sudden Death is the one that's come in, and this has offered a lot of great stuff for the game. Now, the first thing that adds are just 3 more new teams and a new division, which is a lot of fun. You got the vampires who get stronger when they attack things, and you got the undead that can resurrect themselves. So much fun. But the cool thing is they also offer these new special balls. So these balls are going to be different and actually have cool abilities whenever they're taken, and this has bolstered some of the older factions in the game, which I think is amazing. So I really like how these are going to come out randomly each round. This is where some of our coin capsules went, because you got that random drawback and you want to make sure that you're not able to tell what's what. So I really like this system, and I think that this expansion is absolutely wonderful if you can get a copy and you like Blood Bowl, the card game. Up next is Ascension Tactics, the miniatures deck building game, and what a surprise this is. This is the same deck building game, Ascension, but with now a board and characters that you move around. And it's exactly what it sounds like. You use the cards to move the characters or purchase new cards from your deck. However, this is so much fun, and I'm so dang surprised. It's simple, it is easy to play, easy to learn, easy to teach, and it is just so much fun. You move your characters, you get abilities, and a lot of the cards you buy will have ambush effects, which trigger right away when you purchase them, which allow you to interact on the board instantly. I know a lot of games features this, particularly Ascension, but I think it's done so well here with the way that the map works. Instead of using combat power to attack things, you're using combat power to trigger your champions, and your champions are going after those objectives. And I love this. The champions are a little fragile in the way they work. One shot usually is going to kill champions, but you are trading blows consistently, summoning characters consistently, and it is just so much fun. And the solo and cooperative mode works extremely well, and I'm so dang impressed how simple it is to implement it, but how it replicates a multiplayer game. Amazing game. If you have any interest in deck building or a game like this, it honestly gives me some MOBA vibes where you're moving down different lanes and controlling points, and that's just based on 2 scenarios that I've played so far. What an incredible game. I see myself playing this a lot. This is Ascension Tactics, the deck building miniatures game. And then our last game here that arrived are the new expansions for the Isle of Cats. Don't forget the Kittens. These have new boats, new cats, new beasts, but I think the biggest standout here for me are the Kittens expansion. The way it works is if you go first in the initiative order, you're actually going to get access to purchasing kittens instead of the normal cats. And this is really important because the kittens, yes, they have less space, but you can get 2 at a time, and they count as full cats themselves. It is extremely strong because you can build bigger families than you would normally have access to, but it also increases the importance of turn order, which I really, really like. There's some great choices here, especially because those kittens refill right away, and then with the Kickstarter stuff, there are also the wild kittens in the form of Oshaks, which give you even more choices. So I really like like the Kitten module, and the Beast module I think is just a good addition, great starting setup to give you some strategy further on, but that Kitten module is standout. Strongly recommend, and then of course more variability from everything else in the form of lessons and whatnot. And those are all of the games that entered our library this month. Up next, we get into the pre-orders, starting with the Mayday Crokinole board. This is from an established company, and I think it's a great starter Crokinole board. And I think this mahogany one looks really, really cool. I cannot wait to play some Crokinole in the near future. Up next, we have Mind Management, the Secret Missions. Now, this is a set of promo cards that you can actually find by doing these secret mission tasks and finding them when you have the deluxe edition of the game. However, now that they're printed out, you can actually have the promo content without having to do your own print and play copies. But I think this is a really cool system here, and I'm excited to try out these new modules because I think the modules in the base game are amazing by themselves. And then our next Kickstarter here is Warp's Edge Anomaly. This is actually tied to the Reckland Run Kickstarter, but this is the one that we got because I think that Warp's Edge is a phenomenal solo game, and this new expansion offers new characters, new enemies, but the greatest thing is the challenge deck. This is going to be able to be added to all of the enemies that you fight during the game, and it's going to give you some new experiences that you can play with. So new ships, new mothership boards, new enemy ship cards, and then those challenge cards. And of course, the Kickstarter offers the upgraded tokens, which is great because now everything is going to match and feel that much more satisfying when we play. And our last game is the Ironheart Hero Pack for Marvel Champions. And this one you play as Riri Williams, and it's your job to upgrade your suit, but in a different direction from the original Iron Man in the base game. In the original Iron Man's deck, you're going to be playing piece after piece of your armor and getting all of these assets and upgrades that you can use. However, with Riri here, she has a great system where you're going to be increasing the potential of your actual suit, and this is in the form of your identity card. And I love this idea as you're going to upgrade throughout the game and then see it play and affect your other cards. This is such an interesting concept, and I cannot wait to see it in action, and it just looks incredible. I also really love the color scheme. You cannot go wrong with this. So excited to play some Ironheart. And that's everything in the library. Those are all the games that entered during the month of February, and we're super excited for what's coming in March. We've got some great games on the horizon, and I cannot wait to talk about them and play these a lot more. If you have any questions about anything you saw here, please let me know down in the comments below. What games did you add to your own personal collections during the month of February? I'd love to hear what you think and what you think about the games we talked about here. Thank you so much for watching SideGame Strong.